Welcome in, everyone. Um, Congrats to Crazy on the I'm first and here, and Fantasy on second, and Kitten on third. I'm a little nervous because this is like the first time I'm doing like this on Twitch. Normally I build Lego or play video games or do crafts, and my face isn't so big on the screen. But here we are. Welcome in, Crazy. I'm way louder though. Like than what? Like the normal? Could be because I'm nervous and I'm kind of loud. Oh. Well, I just turned it down again a little bit because I was worried that uh like it would be loud when I was trying to talk. Well, it could be because I'm kind of loud because I'm kind of nervous. Pokey catch. What is that? Fantasy or heavy? Oh, I brought them up and then I didn't turn them on. There we go. They're on now. I can't spell fantasy, apparently. Fantasy ball. I don't own that ball. So, pokey, catch, heavy ball. But yes, it's my first time doing, like, where it's more my face. It's usually, my face is very tiny in the corner, and you pay attention to what I'm doing down here. So, I'm a little nervous. But also, I'm not sure how it's going to go, because just whatever. But welcome in, Kitten. I've been streaming for just over 2 years, and I've talked about adding this aspect before, but I finally just bit the bullet and said we'll do it. So I wanted to do something like a book club, but not like where you read everybody reads one book and then you only kind of have to talk about it, and most of the time we just talk about other things. I just wanted it to be more about books in general. So I read all kinds of stuff, from clean to really dirty. The only one I don't really read is like religious, where you're like, if I pray hard enough, or like there's one kiss through the entire book. I don't really read that, but I read pretty much everything else. Uh, for like the last 10 years, I've read and reviewed books on like this tiny little blog I have. Um, in the last year or two, though, like since I started doing this, I kind of fell back on how much I post on the blog. But it's also my goal this year to get like back into posting more on that. And in the Discord, I do have like a book channel where when they have like the Stuff Your Kindle days and things like that. I put it in there. Why is my Pixel chat not working? Do I have it too low? No. I turned them on. And I copied it, right? Because it was there when I was testing the thing. And it has access to my microphone. Oh, nope, it's switched microphones. That's why. Okay. Is it coming up now? I don't know what's going on now. I don't know why it switched back to the other ones. Maybe because I had my headphones on earlier. Yeah, because it's supposed to be using my snowball. Grr, when I was... And it's showing it, like, on the website. Right? Like, I can't catch a break with these. Is it? Okay, there we go. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I've had... So I thought to myself, I know I will turn off my computer and let it like rest overnight because I haven't rebooted it in a while. And then on Sunday, yesterday, when I opened my OBS, my slobs, to do my stream, I couldn't get one of my cameras to work. And it was my knee camera. And then we spent like an hour or two this morning trying to troubleshoot it. And finally, the best we could find, like through all the different searches on Google, was that it was because I have two of the exact same camera. So we ran and got a different camera, brought that back, set it up. It was working. I watched Crazy Stream, and then all of a sudden my internet slowed way down, and we kept testing it and restarting and changing settings, and nothing was like fixing. Apparently because I leave other streams up during the night and let it bounce around, and I stream like a lot during the day, like whether it's watching TV or streaming myself. I burned my Wi-Fi card out, so we had to plug an Ethernet cable directly from the modem into the back of my computer across the room. So it has been a day or so of interesting fixes and trying to figure out what was wrong. But we are fixed for now in a working capacity. But yeah, so I know that none of that is book related, but you're here and you're listening, so yay, thank you. I don't know what any is wrong with anything anymore. But yeah, so I read just about anything. I do read more of the smutty stuff. I love Mafia and MC and like the Big Bad Wolf or the Double Peened Dragon or the Kraken and his tentacles. So, you could run the gambit, and I have Goodreads that I share on the link to, like, down where you can put like your Twitter and stuff. I have a link to my Goodreads, so you guys are more than welcome. I share everything I read, from the tiny 20-page meant to assist in other ways, and to the like hundreds of pages. For like the last week, I've been reading this 6-book series called House of Isidore. Well, that's what it says like real big on the front of the book, but what is the actual like title to the series? It's Their Vampire Queen by Jolie Sue Burkhart. But like real big on the front, it says like the House of Isidore box set. So it's about a girl doesn't know she's what they call Aima, Aima. But she's essentially a vampire queen, and then these two guys come and save her from the bad people that are trying to kill her, and then starts, I think she's up to 11 what are called blood now, which are basically like the men who are around her, who like support her and protect her. She's up to like 11 now. Talk about a harem, and I am up for it. But yes, so I read anything. So the whole goal of this was to kind of just have a place to talk about like what we like to read, maybe find new suggestions from other people, stuff like that. So if you are here and if you want to give suggestions, and I made sure I had like a Word open so I could write down any books that like people recommend. And then I can like put that in Discord, be like, these are all the books we talked about today. If you want to check any of them out, here they are. But yes, I read a lot. Some of my favorite authors are Clarissa Wilde. She writes, lately, she's been on this like high school bully romance writing thing. But she writes all kinds of stuff, like a lot of like darker, twisted romance. Like, sure, he bought her at the auction, but that was only so the worst people didn't get her, kind of a deal. And then Freya Barker, Barker. Now my brain doesn't want to work. Freya. Yeah, it is Barker. She writes what's considered later in life romance. So the main characters are not in their 20s. They're always in like their 40s and 50s. And they're like finding either love for the first time or like first true love. Like one of them might have been married before, but it was like a bad relationship. Um, Things like that. And a lot of like protector romance. Um, and then, oh God, there's so many authors I love. And now that I have to talk about it, I can't remember any of them. This is why I should have wrote things down. Um, but yeah. So yes, lots of book talk, and I was hoping this would be more like audience participation. So I kind of don't know what else to like really talk about. But yes, so I read The Gambit of Things, which is helpful. Um, so Freya. So Janie Crouch writes a lot of protector romance too. So I discovered her when I signed up to review one of her books, and it was called Linear Tactical is the name of the series, and it's a bunch of guys who served in the military together, and then as they got out, they got together and started. It's not necessarily like private security because that's not like that. They teach like how to wilderness survival and like how to use a gun and situational awareness and self-defense. So like they teach a gambit of things, and sometimes they're called on by like the government they used to work for to do like one-off assignments, but a lot of it is more along the lines of trouble that finds them when they're finding their other half. So like the first book, his wife and child died in a car accident, and she was his deceased wife's best friend. So he has left the military. They're coming back to open linear tactical. It is up, it is running, but now they're always in this small town together in like Wyoming or something like that. And he realizes he likes her, but there's this whole like, she was my wife's best friend. Am I crossing a line by being with her? And then somebody starts stalking her. And so then they go around like, so the whole series is like that. And then she has branched off now and is doing a spin-off series where it's their children. How grew up to whether they grew up to be in the military or military adjacent or just went straight into the linear tactical business. But like, yeah, books. Yes, lots of books, Mac. Welcome in, Mac Builds. Mac Builds is a wonderful Lego um he plays, I don't know, I don't think I've ever seen you play games or anything. It's usually just building Lego. But he's got lots of Star Wars Lego, which I don't do because I feel like some Star Wars veins or like some Lego veins you have to pick which one you want. I do Harry Potter, and there's enough in there that I could build and build and build. I don't need to like go down another path too. So, but yes, he's a fantastic streamer. Um, But so she writes things like that, and I'm trying to like go through and find other ones that are like that. Um, because of course now that I have to talk about it, I can't remember anyone. Why does that happen? Lots of authors. That's what like I kept talking about how I wanted to do a stream that was maybe just books, but I didn't know what to do because I don't want to necessarily do like a book club because I find often in book clubs, I don't read the book, and then we just come and talk about anything anyway and not the book. So I just wanted it to be more like an open forum, like talk about the books you like, ask about recommendations for books you like, or new authors. E.M. Shue, so it's E, period M, period Shue. She writes kind of a gambit, some protector romance, some MC. I think she even writes a little shifter, but she's really good. And I like sometimes that the authors write like later in life romance. So like their main characters aren't like in their 20s. They're in like their 40s or 50s. Freya Barker does that. Even Janie Crouch does that to an extent. She writes a whole series about later in life romance, which is also protector romance because they're a private security company. Um, T.S. Joyce is one of my all-time favorite shifter kind of books. She has written like I think there's like 100 books and they're all kind of interconnected, but you could start anywhere you wanted. Um, but everything from like your typical wolf, bear, mountain lion shifters to flying squirrels and armadillos. Everything in between. Um, I don't read too much. I've read historical, but it's always like The Girl and the Duke, you know? The Lady and the Rake. Bodice Busters, I guess. And I've read a bit of sci-fi, but I think the sci-fi I've read bleeds over into like fantasy. Because I think sci-fi and fantasy kind of sometimes have a very fine line between them, where you can kind of like cross between the two. Josie Jade is another one on the same vein of Janie Crouch. She writes a series with Janie Crouch sometimes, called Warrior Security. And again, they are all prior military, and they opened a ranch for where prior military, or not even prior military, but people with like PTSD could come and talk to therapists, and they use animal therapy to help them kind of like find a new flow. Because you know what? I don't like to say fixed because you're not broken. You're just something traumatic happened and now you have to find a new way. Like to a new normal for you. So they do things like that. Like they have two llamas named Mac and Cheese, and they've got dogs and things like that. So they use like therapy, but they also do like private security stuff. So like again, kind of along the vein of as they fall in love, trouble finds the person they're falling in love with. So they are prior military and they know what to do. But they help, like in one of the books, they help break up a human trafficking ring, a dog ring, things like that. Nikki Landis writes a lot of MC romance, but I love her books. They're always good. K.E. Osborne writes a lot of MC books too, but she writes other stuff as well. A.K. Evans writes, it's a series called Harper Security Ops. It's got like 22 books in it, and it's about a private security firm, but within that firm, there's lots of branches. So you have like the people who teach self-defense, situational awareness. Then there's another branch that does like bodyguard duty, and then another one that just sets up like home security, things like that. So like there's different branches, but it's each guy finding the girl he likes, and of course there's trouble. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to go through because of course now that I have to think about it, who can remember names? And I didn't know, I figured as we go, maybe we can make one where like we just talk about these types of books in one thing, these types in another, these types in another, these types in another. Or we can just keep it where we talk about anything. But if you have authors you like, or a book in particular that you like, feel free to share it in the chat. I did it, or I have a Word document open so that I can like write all the ones down that people recommend and the authors, or just the authors if you like basically anything that author has written. It's read security. Okay, let me copy pasta. Oop, it did that. It's being weird. Okay, just let me copy pasta, you silly thing. Copy. There we go. But yeah, I don't know how to say her name. It's like Neva, Neva, and then Altaj is her last name. No, not right now, but don't talk about it. We'll jinx it. That's her name. She writes a mafia series that's like, I don't know, 8 books long that I really like. Um it shows that like these guys are mafia, right? Like so they do like, whatever they need to do for the family, but they also have like this whole other side to them that they only share with that person. I read this series called Mead and Mishaps, and Steele read it too, but she skipped off all the sexy time stuff because she likes clean romance. But the first one is like, um, the second one is called That Time I Yeeted a Werewolf with the Love Potion. That Time I Saved a Human. That time I saved a dragon or a demon. That time I fell in love with a demon or something like that. They're spicy kind of, they have like orcs and witches and all kinds of stuff in it. But they're really funny too at the same time. Um I like male romances too. Because who doesn't little the current one I'm reading is I'm on book 5 of 6, and there are blood orgies. She sleeps with like 10 men at the same time. She's a vampire, descended from Isis, trying to kill Ra. Yeah. Annie Anderson's a really good author too. She writes like about like witches and warlocks and wraiths and fae and all that kind of stuff. Um, Jenna Jacob is a fantastic author. All her books are definitely smut bent. She writes about sex clubs, BDSM clubs. But they have a really, really good plot to them too. It isn't just all smut. Like contextually, they have a really good storyline to them. And the main one I want to say was in Dallas, and then she started a spin-off that they opened another club in like Chicago. And so sometimes there's 2 guys and 1 girl. There's where they talk about how often they do it. Yeah, I read a lot of he bent her over the counter and did her. And the end, the mafia ones and sometimes the MC ones are, yes, he bought her, but it was just so the really bad guys didn't get her. Or, yes, he kidnapped her, but that's because he knew the really bad guys were going to kidnap her if he didn't kidnap her first. Yes, she's locked in a cage, but she likes it. Or, yes, he's got her locked in a cage, but it's for her own good because there's people after her. I read some, like, you might see me in a whole different light if you knew all the books I read. Arden Steele. I love, her name's Kathleen Kelly. She's a Australian author. She writes one set that's like an MC, and then she wrote, a book or two of a spin-off that was, uh, Rockstar. So in the MC series, the 2 main characters meet because the female main character got caught hurt in a car accident with her ex, and like it messed up her throat, and as the front singer for a rock band, it has really like thrown her. So she buys this kind of house kind of out far away from anything, she thinks, in this really tiny town. And it turns out her neighbor, which, isn't like right next door, it's actually like, some distance away, um, is the president of an MC. And so she gets to know that him, and of course they fall in love. But like each book that goes on in that series is about a different member of the MC. But then it also brings in like members of her band. So the spin-off series is more concentrated on the members of her band. But then she also writes other MC books that are like one off. Her name is Kathleen Kelly. I'll type it in too, because I know sometimes even with the subtitles, it's hard to catch. Um, I'm trying to think of like what's on my like bookshelf. Um, and go through my thing because I know there's somebody else I want to say. DM Earl writes a lot of MCs. So she writes one that is strictly a female MC. Like all the members are female. So instead of it's a guy finding their girl over and over again, it's each girl finding their guy. And this all like her dad has an MC that's, all male. But her MC breaks up human trafficking rings. So that is their whole stick. They research and they study and then they go in and they break up human trafficking rings. And then they bring those people back to their ranch and they help them recoup. They have therapists and doctors, and some of the people go back to where they came from and some stay on and some stay just for a while until they can figure out how they want to move forward in life, depending on how long they'd been with the ring. But their whole stick is that they break up human trafficking rings. And I love her. I got to meet her at a book signing last year, and I had bought like a ton of books from her to be signed. And when I walked up to the table and I was like, this is my name, and showed her like my PayPal printout, she was like, oh my God, I was trying to figure out who this person was because I had never seen you. Like she went into her Facebook like reader groups and she couldn't find my name anywhere. And I was like, oh, that's because you probably know me as my reviewer, like book blogger name. And I said my book blogger name, which is Steamy Book Mama. And she was like, oh my God, I love your review. And she like turns to her husband and she's like, I read all your reviews to him. He's like, she does. And she cries every time because she loves all your reviews. And so she was like, oh my God, I can't wait this is so fantastic. I'm so excited to meet you. So it was great, like getting to, that's why I love going to book signings. You get to like meet the author. And I've met Kathleen Kelly like 2 or 3 times. Like seen her at book signings. And I've met T.S. Joyce at a book signing, and Jenna Jacob, it's hilarious. I've eaten breakfast with her at book signings. Like, she's like, oh, come eat breakfast with me before we have to go in. She's fantastic. Penny D writes, again, more like darker MC-ish books, but she also writes one that's like a twist on Beauty and the Beast. And the series is called MC Fable, so each story is supposed to be like a twist on a, like, like Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White and things like that. Teresa Hissong writes all Shifter books. I don't think I've ever read anything by her that wasn't Shifter. So her one series is about panthers. She has another one about wolves. That's just like a trilogy. And they're novella length trilogy. And then she writes one about bears, which is a spin-off of the Panthers. Like they're introduced in the Panther series, and then later she writes their own books about them. Sorry, I'm trying to. I was Dahlia Donovan. She writes a lot of male. First of all, she writes a lot of male. And second of all, they're always like a person is autistic or asexual or things like that. And they usually have, I don't want to say usually, because it's like half and half. So half are like cozy mystery books, and the other half are like have a paranormal bent to them, like a witch and a vampire, live in a small Irish town, and then like the mysteries they try to solve while they live there. Nikki Landis, I said. Deandra Hall is another one who writes later in life romance, and she writes kind of like a gambit of different series. She wrote a Dress to Kill series where the girl would touch things like pieces of clothing and kind of have visions about like how the person died wearing the item of clothing, and then she would try to solve it. Her husband is a sheriff's deputy and she's a social worker, but she also writes like protector romance. She writes a series that is like a fire rescue type deal in Kentucky, and the people who work at the fire rescue were in jail for various reasons, but not because they actually did bad things, like falsely accused and things like that. One technically did do the bad thing that he was arrested and jailed for, but it was killing the man who sexually assaulted his daughter, so I count that as falsely accused. Let's see, we have Eradicate in chat. Andy Ware. Okay. Pasta. Pokey Catch. I'll just do Pokey Catch because I don't have a basic ball. What's his name? So I read a series. I don't know. Maybe there's 6 or 7 books in it. Alexander is his name. Project Hail Mary is the book. Okay. See. Shelby Alexander is the name of the series. He is, I don't know, probably in his 50s or 60s. And he used to be a boxer and now he's a private eye. And he solves all kinds of crimes. So like each book is a different crime. And it's like he lives in a small town, but it's not very far from Chicago, I want to say. And so it's kind of like a thriller, police, protector kind of a... He's an aging ex-boxer. Have fun playing WoW. Thank you for dropping in. But yeah, like, so I read the gambit of books. Some of it is because when you do reviews, like, you look at all the books that they have available. And then you're like, hey, that one sounds interesting. So you choose it and you read it and you're like, wow. And then you find, like, a whole new thing you're into. So, a little bit. And, end of last year and, into this year, I have the habit of, like, those Stuff Your Kindle days. I will get a whole bunch of books for free, but then they just sit on my Kindle. So, I've been trying to be better about like going back and reading those instead of like buying new books. Trying. But you know how To Be Read list works? Every time you read one book by an author, you're like, now I want to read everything else by them. So now you got rid of one book and added 30. Shannon Youngblood writes, again, a lot of MC stuff. What are you playing that you keep dying? You shouldn't die so easily. Oh, Ark. That game you walk outside your nest, you're dead. I always run away in that game. Christine Allen writes a lot of MC, but I think she does write a little bit of other stuff. So in the last year or two, a lot of people who write like MC books have started this thing where I call it a collection because they're not all by the same author. So like it's one big series, right? They all have like the same title. Like one of them is The Royal Bastards. One is for a book signing in Texas called Mobsters, Mayhem, and Madness. So it's like the MMM series. So all the books fall under this umbrella. But because they're MCs, there are chapters, like the Little Rock, Arkansas chapter, the Memphis, Tennessee chapter, the LA chapter, the NOLA chapter, the Miami chapter, the New York chapter, Chicago. So each author writes a different location. So Kathleen Kelly may write the Miami location, but then Nikki Landis writes the LA location, and another author writes another location and another location. So they get to choose how many books are written solely by them about this chapter underneath this collection umbrella. And I've gotten really into like the Royal Bastards one and the MMM one. So I have a bunch of those that I got last year at book signings. And a lot of them kind of like fall underneath that umbrella. Those are Annie's books. I've read a lot of Annie Anderson's books. She writes mostly like paranormal-ish, but she has one series that's not. It's about like a girl who leaves her abusive ex and starts over in a small town. Like she hops from small town to small town to small town, like trying to hide, and then eventually she gets tired of running and decides she's going to stay in this one small town because it like calls to her. And then, the guy she falls for and helps her, and of course, has to fight off the ex because he comes after her. It's like his brothers or people he knows, like guys in the town, and then that's the rest of the series. But she writes a lot of fantastic books. I always love her books. Toni Anderson, like Tony with an I, she writes the Cold Justice series, and there's like a spinoff or two spin-off series off of that one, but it's about FBI agents and the serial killer cases they solve, and it's fantastic. Yeah, because it's called Cold Justice, and then there's Cold Justice Most Wanted, which is like a spin-off of it. Addie Archer is another fantastic author, and it's actually a guy, and his wife writes as well, and that's Esther Schmidt, and she writes a lot of MC. Almost all of them are MC. She's got one that's like called the series is called Swamp Heads, but it's a kind of like a jokey title because it's about a group of siblings that all live like in the bayou type. So they're swamp heads. Cynthia St. Aubin writes really good, kind of funny paranormal books. One of them is Dr. Matilda Schmidt. She's a paranormal psychologist, and like all her clients, like she runs into a leprechaun, and you know, welcome in, Rabbit. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Ghosty. I hope your stream went well, and if you have to raid and run, I completely understand. Self-care, very important. We are attempting, like I really should have written like a list of authors that I really like, but instead my brain just farted. So of course I can't remember what their names are. So I'm just kind of going down the list in my Goodreads, which is very, very long. But welcome in, Rabbit and Raiders. This is our first Book After Dark book talk. My brain just went book talk like TikTok. Book talk stream. I wanted to do one. So you got left behind. You were already here. Maybe it knew that. I wanted to do kind of like a book talk thing, but I didn't want to do like a book club because I didn't want it to be like one book everybody reads and then talks about it. I just wanted to talk about books in general because I could talk about books all day, every day. So, welcome in. And I understand if it is not your shtick, the book thing, and I read a lot of smutty books, but I also read clean ones. I like Tutti Steel with the Tentacles. Stephen King, he is a good author. He's a very good author. You, he always jokes about how I think he's officially the last Stephen King. He's like, I shall be the last one standing. Every once in a while, he'll post a thing with like how many Stephen Kings there are left and whether he'll get to be the last one or not. And I think the last one I saw was like that he's officially the last Stephen King, which is kind of morbid and funny. I'm here for it. So what we've been doing is just like me randomly talking about authors I like and the types of books they write, but also any any books or authors people share, I've been like copy pasting into a Word document, and then when the stream is over, I will post them in my book channel in Discord. That way, any you might have missed, or and I guess I should write down all the ones I talked about, which is like too many to say. But that is kind of what's going on. So if it is not your shtick, if obsessively reading hundreds of books a year is maybe not your shtick, you might not want to do this. Or at least if you don't want to obsessively read hundreds of books a year. Chasing lamely. Oh, sorry if I like totally butchered that. Welcome in and thank you for the follow. The Stand last week started Skeleton Crew. I had read Pet Sematary, Dead Zone, Christine and Carrie before those. Well, we read Pet Sematary and Dead Zone. Had read them when I was a kid. I don't think I've ever actually sat down and read one of his books. I mean, I've seen some of the movies, but I don't think I've ever sat down and actually read one of the books that goes with the movie. Which we always know the book is different than the movie, because like the way they explain it is like the movie is the tip of the iceberg and the movie is like everything underneath the water. Book Twitch. Well, welcome in. I typically do like crafts and video games and build Lego. But for a while I've been wanting to do some kind of like just chatting book talk type thing, and finally I was like, nope. I will keep putting it off if I don't just pick a date and then do it. And if it turns out not to be great, then maybe I just change it to Discord and don't stream it. But like, you know, but we're there's so many books out there, it's impossible to know every author to try their books. So I wanted to just do a thing where we could talk about the authors we like or books we like, if it's a specific book, not necessarily like everything the author writes, and just share it. Back for the book. Yeah, so I know, like, because they take artistic liberties on the book when they do a TV show or a movie. So there's always that, like, is that really how it goes? Sorry, I talked about a bunch of authors, but then I didn't add them to my list for like people to check out. But yes, so if you like a specific author or a book, or you want recommendations, or you just like to talk about books, that is what we're doing. I scheduled it for only 2 hours because I was like, I don't want to like, be like super long the first time. Your book? Oh my god! I read and review. That's my other job of my 5 jobs, because I'm a stay-at-home mom of teenagers, and then I do this, and I read and review, and I do crafting. So all the jobs, but none of them surprisingly make me leave the house if I don't want to. But yes, that's yeah, just the casual 5 jobs. Because honestly, what woman do you know who doesn't have 5 jobs? But yes. So I used to just like to read. just simple. And then I was like, maybe I should start a Facebook page and just share like sales I find, like this book's on sale or I like this book. And so that's kind of how it started. And then this woman messaged me and she was like, I'm starting a blog tour company where you can read and review books or just share about the books we have, like the people who like hired you to get your book out there. And I was like, okay, but I don't have a blog. And she's like, that's okay, you don't need one. And so it started like that. And then I started writing reviews for every book I read. And then it kind of spiraled from there like 10 years ago. So I read a lot. I read usually about 250 to 300 books a year. And they can vary from like the ones that are like 40 pages, which we all know what those are, to like hundreds of pages. So I read the gambit, and also clean to super dirty and everywhere in between. Um, I don't think I could write a book though. That's a whole different skill set that requires imagination. I just like getting lost in somebody else's. We have a Graveler in chat if you want to play the Pokemon game. That was another one I did. But yeah. So feel free, like I said, to share books you're interested in, or if I read a lot of the MC ones or Mafia ones. Maybe. But it's like Lego mocking. I can build a Lego set with the instructions. Don't ask me to create a Lego set. Like, use the little program and stack the bricks and then, ta-da, it's the yellow brick road. Like, I don't think I could do that. I'm good at following directions, not creating the directions. But I have a friend who wrote a book, and I read it, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about reading, like, knowing, like, being on a personal friendship level with the author. Like, I don't know. But I did like it. I had questions, though. And then she was like, oh, it'll be explained in book 2. And I was like, damn you. You bitch. Welcome in, Beauty and the Geek. I hope you've both been doing well. So yes. I put the 18 plus thing on because, in fairness, books can take you in a very odd directions. I feel like you have that, there's a slippery slope in books. Because you can read an MC book or a Mafia book where it's not that smutty or dangerous or like dark and twisty, and then you like take one toe deeper into that pool and you're like, yes, he bought her at an auction and kept her in a cage. She was debt for her father, or she was payment for her father's gambling debt. Like, it's a very slippery slope. I'm sorry you're still jobless. It sucks looking for a job. What is your book about? Feel free to share a link for your book if you have it listed somewhere, even if it's like just Goodreads or something like that. Feel free to share. I was so like, I have no idea how today is going to go. I didn't really know like how to prepare for it because I was like, I just don't know. Let me dig out a book. Yes, feel free to share. I am all like, let everyone know. Everybody, check her book out. But yeah, so like usually if somebody asks for like a kind of like, do you know books in this genre? Yes, I can direct you to that genre. I felt so bad. Ringbolt messaged me like last week and asked how I was, and I was like, oh, I'm doing this. And he was like, read any good books lately? I was like, yes, but unless you're into blood orgies with vampires, I'm not sure this is the book for you. I will tell you what it is. I'm not ashamed to be reading it or like, I must hide my dirty secret. But I'm just not sure it's for you. But if you want other vampire books that aren't like this, I can direct you to that too. I may have to consult my Goodreads because I cannot remember like 3,000 books, but um, I can direct you. So I just wanted it to be the whole concept where this is just like people where a place where people can come and talk about books. Any books, all books. Their favorite author, ask for recommendations, give recommendations. It's just kind of like whatever. Do you like long books? Do you like short books? That's all right. We'll make it work one way or another. If not, you can share it if Twitch won't allow it. In my Discord, I have a book channel. You can share it in there. If Twitch won't allow it in here, we will get it sent one way or another. Get it shared. Twitch said no. It said too many characters. I don't know if it'll let you send it in a message or not. I don't know if the messages have like a limit. But like I said, I have the Discord, and you can gladly share it in there too. There's a it's called like Book Talk channel or something like that. I don't even know what I name my stuff anymore. Yeah, oh, it's just called Book Stuff. How dare I make it so simple? Um and impossible to remember at the same time. But yeah, this was kind of the whole concept. I like book clubs, but I often find that I don't read the book that's assigned anyway. And then when we get together, nobody really talks about the book anyway. You just talk about your life or other things you've read. So I figured I don't really want a book club, but I want a book club. But in the sense that we can come and talk about books, not necessarily um, read a certain book. And I probably repeated myself like a dozen times doing that, so I'm sorry if you've heard me say it so too many times. But yeah, and it's taking some getting used to seeing like this much of my face on screen. Usually it's a tiny little box in the corner and what I'm doing down here. So it's like, look at the camera, but don't look at myself. um, but yes, I have like if anybody needs recommendations or they want to recommend a specific author, a specific book, whatever. If you are an author, share your stuff. We are open. I mean, open, but I criticize. But that's my way to show love. Like, if I don't pick on you, you're just kind of there. You know, they say they have the 5 love languages. I say there are 6 because I pick on people, and that is how I show my love. I'm that person that your friends warn you about. Like, hey, I have this friend. Sadly, or not so sadly, that is me. I have a filter, but it filters very little. Ah, fantastic. We shall look. I shall read it. Let me move it to the side. So, ooh, it shrunk. It says, rebirth is less a religious experience and more an attempt to quiet the voices in your head. The voices in my head do speak loudly. At 40, Daisy is staring at the rebuilding phase of her life. She's already tired. I feel you, girl. She has 2 law degrees. Ooh, she's busy. A mountain of debt and a flat in a forgotten town where the peeling paint matches her own sense of self. To the world, she is a collective of CV gaps and unfortunate Google results. Ooh, unfortunate Google results. To herself, she is a desperate, miserable misanthrope, just trying to find a version of her true self that doesn't feel like a costume. From the high-impact theater of the wrestling ring to the quiet humiliation of a cowboy-themed audience, Daisy has spent decades playing roles to survive. But as she navigates the wreckage of a past defined by a 4-year, 3-ring circus, the great blackout of 2012, and the explosive fallout of addiction, she realizes that stabilizing isn't just about spreadsheets and sobriety, it's about finding the courage to exist in the present. Guided by an AI-generated roadmap and the persistent, knowing presence of those who refuse to let her disappear, Daisy must decide if she is truly under construction or if she is just an archaeology project of her own pain. This sounds really good, I'm gonna be honest. The afterlife of a disaster is a raw, witty, unapologetic. Okay, that sounds really good. Chasing. How do you prefer to go by chasing or lamely or the whole name? I want to try to address people the way they prefer. Yes, ads in 20 seconds. They will go for 3 minutes, and then we'll be back for our last hour, because I only set this as 2 hours as a first time thing. And normally I would say you won't miss anything in the ads, but you might, because I don't know who's going to be here during the ads and who won't be. So I'll just talk to myself like normal and hope that somebody's listening on the other side. Yeah, listen, I figure whatever you would prefer to be called, we're here. Eventually, you might get a nickname that, or a weird connotation like carrot and snowman buttholes that you can't live down even if you would like to. But yes, so it may just be 2 hours. I mean, listen, I go by many names, so I could respond to just about anything sometimes. Or purposely ignore whatever you call me because I'm done. But yes, so hopefully you guys are enjoying this and you would like this to keep going. Right now, it's going to be a 2-hour, once a month stream for this. Oh, I'm not trying to catch a Pokemon. Frosty was just talking. But yes, hopefully we're liking the way this is going. Maybe next time I'll be more prepared. But yeah. If eventually people want to co-stream, or we can do it in Discord, I don't know. I just intended this to kind of be an open forum where you could come talk about any books you like, or just listen to me babble for 2 hours about books. We lay monster porn with the dragons, and yeah, I was like, listen, I chose the date and time and showed up. I don't know what more you expect from me. Right? I mean, being prepared is, when I need to be prepared, I am uber prepared. But something about stream leads me to be only half prepared, 75% of the time, and less the others. And then you have to equate for when equipment failure happens, and even if you're prepared, things still don't go the way you did. You did more than I usually do. Usually I pick one set and I stretch it out for a couple streams, and I only build half the time, and we just play a video game or do crafts the second half, so I don't really have to be prepared. And as often as possible, I try to make you guys decide what I do. I have 3 options. Pick one, and we'll do that. What video game do you guys want to see? Okay, we'll do that. We do that too sometimes. It's I'm okay, I'm on the last bag of the day. What game do you guys want to see me do? Or we can crochet, or diamond art, or we can, I don't know, something. We can come up with something. But I always feel half prepared. And some of that is, I worry that if I get too honed in, then I won't want to do it. So it's more free flow, what are we going to do? Or, okay, never mind, we'll do this instead because I just don't feel like it. So it's a bit of give and take and flow. you know. And I think with streaming, you need to be able to like change what you're doing without it being like, oh my God, now what do I do? I had a plan and it changed and now I can't do anything. So I think the kind of lax is almost better, where you kind of just have a general idea about what you want to do. Welcome back, everyone. Um, but yeah, I just kind of go with it. Plus, I was like, I don't want to be too like honed in with the first book one, because I don't know how many people are going to show up. Like, I don't know how many people want to talk about books long before I started writing. So generally, I'll play with my on-brand game, which is sports. But I've started switching to Project Zomboid. My husband plays Project Zomboid. Sports balls all the time. So I usually play like puzzle games or cozy games. So I do like Disney Dreamlight Valley. We've been playing Satisfactory, which is like literally you just build a factory. There are conveyor belts and machines and things like that. Pokey catch. Do I have a Geo ball? I don't remember. Oh, I must, because it didn't tell me I didn't. But I did like a little to the left. One called Winterboro, where you're a mouse and you're like, you have to go find supplies and then you make things and you knit yourself better clothing to withstand the winter and things like that. Um, City Skylines. I've not played that one. Um, but we do Disney Dreamlight Valley, Hogwarts Legacy, a little to the left, a lack of balls. That's because I don't need balls when they have tentacles. It's like a fancy SimCity. Oh, okay. I played SimCity way back in the day. I've dabbled in The Sims, but I usually wind up locking somebody in a room and setting the place on fire because I'm tired of their neediness. We play a game called Cozy Grove quite often. I just got an Alchemy Factory game where like it's kind of like Satisfactory, except you're an alchemist and you're building your little factory to Yes. Listen, Katie Robert, she wrote a book series where the first guy was a double-peened dragon, and then you had a kraken and a gargoyle and a succubus and a demon and another demon. You get where I'm going with this. It was monster porn, and I don't care. The current one I'm reading with the vampire, she has one guy who changes into a crow, one that changes into a dragon, one that changes into some like ancient Aztec war bird, another one that turns into a big black dog, one who is the last Templar knight from like 300 or 1300 AD, one that turns into a wolf, one that turns into a rock troll, a war cat. I don't know what one of them turns into. They haven't said yet. But yeah, she's got like 11 boyfriends, companions, lovers. One that turns into a bear. But yeah. Um, uh, her father was a god of monsters, Typhon or something like that. So her collection of, as they're called in the book, blood, because they're vampire-like knights. Um, oh, and she recently got a female phoenix. So yeah. She's got a collection of interesting companions, and they feed off her, and she feeds off them, hence the blood orgy. But I tend to read a lot of like books that have relate to human trafficking. Probably. Probably. She didn't know she was a vampire queen. And she knew, like, all her life she'd been chased by these things, these monsters in the dark. And when she finally thought she was gonna die at their hand, these two guys come in and they save her. And then they tell her who she is. And they help her discover who she is. And it turns out she's going to be this super powerful vampire queen. And so far, that's pretty much true. But she has quite the collection of they're called Blood in the series. They're like her protectors and things like that. They're her harem. I also kind of hate the trope reverse harem. Not the trope itself. I hate the name. Like, why does it have to be reverse harem? It is still a harem, whether it's male or female. Like, we don't need to make a whole separate category just because it's one girl and many guys versus one guys and many girls. But yeah, they are really horny. Like, the scent of her blood in the air sends everybody into a tizzy. Yeah, I didn't realize when reverse harems like really started to become a big, like, the book world has like waves. Like, there was the bro like half brother step, I guess not half brother, the step brother trope was really big for a while, and then the harem trope became, but they call it reverse harem specifically when it's like one girl and a lot of guys. I was like, just because it's brother husbands doesn't mean we need to give it a whole new name. It's still a harem, whether it's male or female. It's still a harem. I hate that they call it a reverse harem because it's not. It's still just a harem. And I didn't know Clean Romance had a title till like 6 months ago. Yeah, people are so frustrated. It's just a harem. It's not reverse anything. Um, it's like racism. It's not reverse racism. It's just racism. Also, not reverse harem. Just a harem. Um, Sorry, soapbox moment. But I didn't know what clean romance was. I was like, isn't it just romance? And they're like, well, no, it's like when they only hold hands and don't kiss. There's like not even closed door. It's just like nothing happens. And I was like, I didn't realize that needed like a title name, but or a grouping name, but I guess it helps people when they're looking for that type of book find it easier. True. But I don't know if I should really have a microphone sometimes. I have lots of opinions, and I don't care whether people agree with them or not. I will still say them. We have lovely soapbox moments in my streams, and some people love them and some people hate them. But I figure nobody's making them be here so they can leave. But it also bugs some people that you like are okay that they don't agree with you and aren't going to change your mind about that. I know that bugs some people. But I'm like, no, you can have your opinion and I can have my opinion. As long as we're nice to each other or like civil to each other while stating our differing opinions, then we can both still have them. As I like to say, everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion. It's to me, your opinion may be wrong, and to you, my opinion may be wrong. But like everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion. I'm kind of weird though, so. But yes. So there's like the reverse harem, which I just refer to as brother husbands. And I don't know, like on Instagram and stuff lately, there's these like book boyfriend songs, and I tried to look up like the name of the band, but I'm not sure it's the right band. Like it's called Decayed Souls or something like that. Right, like it's not a hosted. You could just leave. Like, if you don't agree with me or don't like about what I'm talking about, you don't have to stay and watch. You can just leave. And, it's true. Like, and, it always rolls back to, like, we could all have differing opinions. You don't have to like the really dirty books, even if I do. I don't even have a drink in here. I told myself You need to make sure you have all your stuff. Do I have all my stuff? No. And that's fine. Like, just because I like them does not mean I expect everybody to like them. I can talk about them, or you can be like, nah, let's try something else. Like, what books do you like to read? And I know, like, a lot of the, like, if you like shifter romances, a lot of them are, like, one on one. And it's usually, like, then they don't stray, because something about being a shifter means that you don't really cheat if they're your fated mate kind of deal. Okay. Snickety snacky. I do have that. There's always snacks on my desk. Oh, I don't know where my sorting hat is again. Really badly written? Oh, do you read those posts where they talk about male authors writing female characters badly? Where they're like, her boobs bounced boobily as she walked down the stairs. And you're like, her boobs bounced boobily? Or where they think that we can stick things in our cooch and hold it and it's like a change purse. It doesn't work that way. That's my snack. Maybe I shouldn't have chosen that as a snack. I know, they're so bad. He's like, her boobs swelled with pleasure. Dude, have you ever been with a woman? Our boobs don't swell. First of all, if something's swollen, there's something wrong with it. And please don't ever call it a lady garden. Like, you're not hacking through the Amazon, dude. Hydrate, snickety snack out. My sorting hat's over here. While I was fixing everything, I remembered to add obtuse to my auto shout out. This is my sorting hat. My friend Steal Your Heart crocheted me a Harry Potter sorting hat. I like the books that are like 40 pages long and you're like, he's a mountain man and she gets lost in the woods and then he saves her and then he does her all weekend long and they tell you in great detail about what he does to her. I don't care that by putting them on my Goodreads, everybody knows that I've read like 400 of them. I don't care. I love them. They're short, they're to the point. Are they realistic? Absolutely not. Do I care? Also, absolutely not. Yeah, I love those. I love those. The child wants the brick tax. I think I dropped my instruction booklet on the ground for this. I did. When I was messing around trying to fix my computer earlier, yesterday, all day, I don't know. I keep threatening to put wire in this brim, excuse me, so it doesn't flop in front of my face, and we can all tell that it's just a threat because I haven't done it in like the year and a half I've had this hat. So I'm making a Lego TV. Oh, that's the back of it. You guys should see the front. Yeah. Yep. He really knows how to use that axe of his. It's almost always he's a mountain man. And he's lived alone in his cabin because there's something wrong with him and I don't care. He has a big tool and he knows how to use it. I don't really care. Oh, I guess I should switch scenes so you guys can see what I'm building. See my one brick. Well, two bricks, because I hate when it's one brick. That's not a step. That's an attempt at a step. Brictex. This is going to be like the Disney, you know, over the castle scene. Is what this one. Weird, I see a man with an axe. Well, yeah, in real life, but in the book, he's always going to do her. He's always going to save her and then do very filthy, dirty things to her, and I'm going to enjoy the whole time. I know, I always hate that. When they're like, okay, it's a cliffhanger. And don't worry, we'll let you know the rest in the next in the next book. And then it never comes. I'm so angry. There's still a book on my to read list from like 6 years ago. She wrote like 3 or 4 books in the series, and then I'm like, ooh, it's finally getting to the good part. And then there was just never another book. And I am so pissed off. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, some of the I love the threads where it's male authors writing female characters because they're so horrible. Like, you must have never encountered a real woman in a sexual way ever in your life if you think this is how things go. Yeah, I like soft closed endings, or there are several authors I know who write cliffhangers, like it's meant to be a duet. And so they have really already written the second one before they even release the first one. So that way you only wait like a month or two and then they release the second half. So they are going to release it because it's already written. And so they're just doing the final editing stuff. And so you only have to wait a short time, which is also nice. I hate when you have to wait like a year and a half for the next book and you're like, I'm patient, but I'm not that patient. Okay, we're going to do a cross. Oh, I'm going to have to come up with a cross stitch. Cross stitch. Straight. Yeah, I like soft close endings where it's not like it's the definite end, but if it did end here, or you just you could write a sequel about like other characters that were in this book, but not necessarily like these continued characters. Where like they're in the book, but they're not like the main characters anymore. Now they're side characters, and it's a new couple. I like when they do that. I think they call them like interconnected. So like you could read them by themselves, or you could read them together. They're like better if read together, but not horrible if read alone. Right, yeah, I like that. I said I like when they do like the duets where like there's definitely like you're gonna end on a cliffhanger, but that book's already written. Like the second one. So you're definitely going to get it. I like when they do that. I love series. Like you could write or go on forever. Like I'm always sad when a series ends. And some people are like, well, it should have ended 10 books ago. I'm like, no, I don't care that it has 57 books in the series. Just write more. I'm good. I'm good. Just these characters can never die. Nothing bad, like bad can happen to them. Like at the end, it's always kind of a happy ever after, and we just keep going on forever. I could do that for a long time. Oh, fantasy! I think I know which cross stitch we'll do, but it won't be a single stream. I'll start it on stream, and then I'll finish it off stream. But I know which one I want to do. Yeah, I actually put a letter from the author at the back of the book where I explained that there were several side characters that appeared in the wedding scene that were, yes, yes, I like when you do that. It's kind of like interconnected, I think is the term they use. Um, but I do like that. That's how A.K. Evans, who writes the Harper Security Ops, that's how those books are. Each book has its ending with those characters. Then those characters are in other books, either before or after, but the next book is like a new couple. So, no, I have to read. I can't. I have to read all the books in the series. Like if I accidentally take a book for review and it's like the third book in the series, I have to like scramble and read the first two. Or sometimes I contact them and I'm like, hey, I didn't realize this was book three. Are books one and two available for review? And sometimes they'll send them to me, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll just go out and buy them because I need to read all the books. I can't start in the middle of a series. It bugs the crap out of me. I mean, I can, but it really, really bugs me. And I will go back and read them because I'm like, I might have missed something. There might have been some key detail to their prequel to this that I missed because I didn't read those, and then I become a little weird. I currently have one, two, three, four, 5.5-ish bookshelves. And I say half-ish because like the books are stacked sideways on top of other books. And I have another book signing that I'm going to in March, so I'll probably get like 40 more books there. I love Sullivan's Crossing. The last, I don't know, some parts of it I'm like, meh, but I do like it. And that happens a lot. I find it's a lot like TV shows. Like some people only like shows for like a season or two, and then they're like, nah, I'm good. I will die on the hill that I love all like 14 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. I am habitual. I will go back and reread or rewatch the same show over and over again. And that is not like everybody's cup of tea, and I completely understand that, but I can't count how many times I've watched Supernatural or Gilmore Girls, or I'm watching Veronica Mars again. Welcome in, Dusa. I hope you're having a good week, that you had a good weekend. And I like, a lot of times if I like an author, then I'll go through this thing where like I want to read all their backlog, like all the books they've written. But I'm obsessive, if you guys can't tell. I like Maggie and Sully are in every book, but they're usually just there for that book's main character to, yeah, like they are in every book, but there are side characters in some books. It's like they're kind of a main and a side character because your brain keeps remembering them as a main character from like the first one. But in these subsequent ones, they're more like side characters. So it's like they're main and side characters. Right? The week has got to go up. I'm sorry that you've had a rough day. Dusa is a wonderful VTuber. She builds Lego and has like a crazy long Duolingo streak. We did a Lego co-stream build a little over a week ago. We built the mineral collection because we both got it for Christmas. And we, you know, like I said, I have been I had a well, I have a well, Chasing Aria, which is Chasing Lamely, shared her book that she wrote. She's waiting for links to share because it's, you know. I do. I love Veronica Mars so much. I've seen that series way too many times. And I was like, I opened Netflix and they're like, new to Netflix. And I was like, you got me for the 17th time. And I know then I will have to watch the series, then the movie, then the reboot. I like Miss Marple too. We've kind of I tried to talk about a bunch of different authors. I actually just kind of went down my Goodreads and was like, why didn't I write down which authors I like? Oh, I know, because there's too many. And so I just started like naming people off and what kind of books they write. But also I have a Word document open, so any books or authors people share, I've been writing down, and then I'm gonna post the like list in the book channel in my Discord so people can reference. I love Veronica Mars and the Gilmore Girls. Oh, I love the Gilmore Girls. I have not, but like I feel like there are just so many authors that it's you know what I mean? Without recommendations and talking to people, it's hard to like sometimes find new ones. I mean, Amazon, they're like, if you like this book, try this book. And I'm like, I don't know. Well, I put her on the, or I put him or her on the list and I will check them out. But yeah, we talked a little bit about everything. It's on like if you want recommendations on like certain genres or any genre, or like you have an author you like or a genre you like and you want to share. I just kind of wanted this to be more like open forum where like everybody could talk and share and that's T.S. Joyce. So she writes shifter romances and she writes them in like groups of 5. So like uh the like I think one of the first ones is like the lumberjack bears, right? So they're called a crew. They're bears, right? Like they find their significant others, but then there's another group of 5 and another group of 5 and another group of on and on and on. But they're all shifters of different kinds. She's got like panthers and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Uh but then there's also a snowy owl and a flying squirrel and an armadillo. So, and they kind of even within the 5 books, you could read them individually, but they all fall under this one big series called Damon's Mountain. And some are like, she'll write a bunch and then she'll go back and write like kids of some of those original shifters and them getting their own crew and finding their own happy ending and things like that. And then, so it's all kind of like, she even writes one where it's like bulls, people who shift into bulls and they're in the rodeo. So, like, they are the bull in the bull riding duo, which is kind of cool. Uh, but I love her books. They're always hilarious and smutty and just fantastic. Um, but like I said, read a fair amount of mafia, and you can have like cleaner, I guess, more violence, less sex mafia, and then you have he bought her or she was payment for debt. Um, which is always, I don't want to do this. I'm forced to marry her, forced to take her. Then he looks at her for 2 minutes, falls in love with her, and says, I will kill anybody who even breathes in her direction wrong. So, or he kidnaps her from another mafia guy because that mafia guy's bad. He's mean to her and he does naughty, naughty, horrible, mistreatful things to her, but I won't do that, and so I kidnapped her. Some people are like, you just said so blasé about how he kidnapped her. I was like, yeah, well, in another book, this guy was mean to her, so her biker, the guy who's a biker who likes her, beat the shit out of him, tied him up, and threw him in a trunk. I mean, in all fairness, he deserved it, but it happens. And people were like, yeah, most people aren't so blasé about that. I was like, you don't know enough dark romance readers, because we don't care. I think there's a whole movement now on they call it book talk with like the mask guys. And they're like, how do we find a book talk girly? And like, most of them are like, you're not prepared for a book talk girly. They look sweet and innocent on the outside, and inside they've read more interesting things than you could imagine. There was a comedian. Yeah, they are not prepared. They are not prepared. You think you're prepared because you're a biker and you're no, you're not prepared. You're not. You're really not. There was this comedian and he did this whole like little skit whatever thing in the middle of his show where he talks about when he met his girlfriend, she liked to, or well, she likes to read. And he was like, maybe we can recreate some of that stuff in your books. And she's like, absolutely not. And he's like, why not? She goes, unless you can change into a bat, it's off the table. And he's like, what the hell are you reading? And he goes, so I'm going to say something and know that I did not write this, any of it. He goes, so guys think it's hot, when they have a secretary and then they do her. I just want a girl who reads. Yeah, you're never more interesting than what's happening in this book. She is doing 4 guys right now, and not one of them is going to come before she does 10 times. You know? um, but he's like, so guys think it's hot when they have a secretary and they do her. He goes, I just think it was hot if I'd have a secretary, but or guys think it's hot to do their secretary. He goes, women, this is their idea. She lives in the countryside and she's the only one with the skills to provide for her family. And then this guy, it's a wolf, and he busts down the door and he kidnaps her and he takes her back to his kingdom far, far away. And then he turns into a 6-foot fae who knows how to use the same equipment that's comparable to his body size. Yeah. And he's like, and then stuff happens and only she has the skills to fix it, but he's the muscle. Women are way more creative than we are. They're like, what? He doesn't turn into a bat or a wolf or a bear? Not interested. He's like, women are so much more creative than we are. He goes, and I can tell by the snickering in the crowd that you ladies know I didn't make any of this up. I did not write a single thing of this. You've all read this book. And we're all like, yes, yes, I have. Kitten caught the Dratini. I've been in like 3 different chats where the Dratini has popped up and I have not caught it once. Even when I attempted to. It's rigged. But yeah. He's like, women write or read some really weird shit. You saw that video you sent me the other day. The lady's got like cottagecore outfit rolling out her cookies, and she's like, I'm about to introduce you to all 7 deadly sins. Yeah, I mean, that, or you have to be like, you have to meet up, like, what is it, the joke that women who read, men don't like women who read because it gives them unrealistic expectations of men. No, we read because we know what to expect. And was it fictional boyfriends, book boyfriends are God's apology for real men? I mean, it's kind of mean, and listen, it all falls under not all men, but yeah, I mean, who can live up to the book boyfriend? No one. There's a guy who does videos where he tries to recreate like the whole like book boyfriend like stand and stuff, but he like falls back and knocks the whole counter over or falls through the doorway and like right onto his face. They're hilarious. He tries to do like the book talk sexy book boyfriend videos, but it's him how he messes them up. Yeah, like, I just want a girl who reads. No. Or they go, well, at least your girlfriend, wife, significant other, at least she only reads. That's not an expensive hobby. Like, at least she doesn't like to get her hair or nails done. Books add up. I can't see the bar. It's too far. I mean, honestly. Like, I like book boyfriends because, I mean, I have a husband and I love him and he is fantastic. But still, book boyfriends are better. But, they're written specifically not to disappoint us. They can do a lot of things, but the cardinal sin is cheating, and nobody forgives that. Even in the books, nobody forgives cheating. Listen, I don't do my hair or nails, but I Lego, I read, and I craft, so I could put anybody in the poorhouse. I mean, just with Lego, I could put us in the poorhouse. Not that we're not close to the poorhouse anyway. But, like, yeah. The Lego addiction, man, it's killer. And I'm pretty sure I have some form of tism because I hop from craft to craft. I think everybody who's in the makers and crafters has some kind of tism. You're on the spectrum somewhere. I hop from craft to craft to craft. I sewed and then I did embroidery and then I've learned to crochet in the past, but now I can make the plushies. So there's and then the Lego and I cross stitch. I go to book signings where I can spend $400 in a sneeze. Sometimes I spend like $200 and I haven't even gone to the signing. It's pre-orders. And then I spend more money there. Like, well, at least reading's cheap. I don't think you read the same way I do. Because reading is two hobbies. Reading and collecting books. They are two different ones. Two sides of the same coin. But, and then sometimes you buy the ebook and you like it. So now you need a shelf trophy. So I need the physical copy just so I can look at it on my shelf. We used to live in Virginia and then in North Dakota. And both those places had the thrift store Savers. And now we live in Arkansas and they don't have a Savers. But I could always find great book deals at Savers. Yeah, like I could do drugs and save money. I feel that. I feel that. Yeah. Just every time you pick up a book, you're like, at least it's not drugs. At least it's not drugs. Although drugs might be cheaper. It's like, oh God, I sneezed and I accidentally one-clicked 13 books. That's why I love the Stuff Your Kindle days. Because even if you're not sure you'll like it, it's free. So you haven't spent any money and you got 30 books today and you get the high of shopping without spending any money. They're usually at least once a quarter, sometimes once every other month. The Stuff Your Kindle days or Stuff Your e-reader things. And I try to remember to post the link in my Discord, but sometimes I just get wrapped up in getting the books and then I forget. I'm gonna be honest, I have a Kindle and a Nook e-reader. I have both. Oh, I could easily. I set myself a limit for it's probably been 15 minutes for the book signings. But I also know that limit is flexible. I could spend way more if I tried. Or didn't really try all that hard. Cause you can get t-shirts there. You can get cups. The last cup I got has little penises all over it, and I love it. I use it on the stream sometimes as my cup. And I have a Starbucks cup addiction, so even if I don't drink Starbucks all the time, I'll go in and get a cup and leave. Like, I just want the cup. Every time we move, it's like, which cups do I want to get rid of? None of them. I love all my cups, and I use them. You have to rotate through all of them. Some of them are seasonal. Like, I only use them during Christmas, or I only use them during Halloween. I even have ones just for Valentine's Day. But we've talked about all kinds. So if there are books you would like, a genre of books you would like to be pointed in the direction of, I can give some authors or some specific titles. But we've kind of covered a little bit, and the ones I wrote down that are just like where I wrote down kind of just the author's name, I'm gonna write behind it like what kind of genre they write. That way you'll know. Yeah, you met Stan Lee? It's fantastic. I'm so jealous. That is an acceptable way to spend $500. Oh, twice. Right? That's gonna be worth so much money. I'm trying to think how I want to type this. Um, so A.K. Evans, she writes a lot of protector romance, but she's also writing this story that like she's going to write a romance for every state. So kind of like a road trip romance, that's what she calls it. So not that they're on a road trip, but that like she's going to write a book for each state. That are like just kind of like main. They don't necessarily have like an MC genre to them or whatever. They're just kind of romance. Um, right? I couldn't even imagine how much that would be worth. And I mean, of course, everything has like, contextually, it's only worth something like in the right circle, the right group of people, but that's everything. Like some paintings wouldn't be worth $2 to somebody else, but in the right community, they're literally priceless. Comic books and things like that are the same way. Like, if you're not into the comic books or whatever, it's not going to be worth anything to you. But in the right group, in the right setting, to the right people, it's worth so much. Another good author is Gemma Ware. She writes a mountain man romance um, about siblings. So like each sibling finds their other half. Um, and it's so weird. They all live in the same, so like their parents passed and the seven siblings still live together in the house, right? Like, but they work on the mountain and things like that. I think there's like one sister and six brothers. Um, and then it's like each sibling finding their own, but instead of moving out, they add wings onto the house. So like they have their own kind of like home in a home. Right? I like I said, I can imagine like in the right circle, those things are worth a lot of money. And to some people who aren't even like into it, it's a status thing to say they have it. So sometimes they'll pay even more just like for a status symbol to say that they do have it. And so I have tons of signed books, but they're not like Stephen King. They're like self-published or small indie author type things, but I don't care. They're worth something to me. They may not be worth anything in the long run, but when I kick the bucket, my kids are getting books. Maybe some books they don't want to think about that their mother read, but it's okay. They're getting them. And Legos. That'll be the real ticket, Legos. Because I already have a bunch of retired sets. Like, I got them when they came out, and they're retired now. So, a binnacle. Right, like, I don't have them because they're worth things. I have them because I like them. Oh, what's her name? It just flashed into my head and then ran away. I hate when that happens. She writes a paranormal wolf. They turn into wolves, but they're also an MC. If nothing else, I'll run out to my shelf and find it. Her name literally like flashed in and then went away. Uh, let's see. Elle Boone. That's it. So she writes a lot of shifter books, but they're also like MC and kind of paranormally. They're really good. That is crazy. You have like the best stuff. Sorry, I was like, if I don't add it to the thing, I'll forget. To the list. I'm trying to keep, and I know that I said more authors, but then didn't write them down because I was like, I'm talking about them, not other people, but I should still write them down so people can check. We're going to need to find somebody to rate into because we're nearing the end of the time. But did you enjoy this? Is this something we would like to do again next month? My plan was to do it like once a month. And I talk about books all the time in my stream anyway. If somebody brings it up, I'll just talk about it anyway. I don't really need to do a stream just about books, but like, oh, That is fantastic. I'm so jealous. But yes, did we like this? Would we like to do it again? Should I do it more like genre based, where we talk about a specific genre each month, or just keep it kind of open? Or we can do it where I pick a genre and then like we can talk about that, but if we talk about other things, that's fine too. I have no idea how to do this. I'm like, books are so like there's just so many options. Like, how do you like narrow it down? Like, we can definitely just talk about like any kind of book or an author, or like I can give out tons of recommendations. Is this playing? Are they? I have not really like been in other book streams, and I don't know why. It's not that I wouldn't enjoy it. I just never really thought about like going to, probably because I just like I bounce from like people I know to people I know, and I have a horrible habit of not like branching out, which I've been in the last couple months really trying to do, is like branch out more. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, and I didn't want to do like specifically like we all read a book and then talk about it. I just wanted to kind of like it be like an open forum. Did you take that as a tag, you silly Knigget? Of course you didn't. Let's see. I mean, worth considering might just be a way to give a bit more structure, even if it's just a segment. Yeah, I was like, we can pick a book where I like read a couple chapters each time, or like a chapter, or we can just pick like a genre where we talk about that genre, or leave it open. I just wasn't sure how to like go about it, and figured right, like because we do the plan is to do it like once a month, so at least in the beginning to see how well it picks up and things like that, how well it does. Um, so maybe if we pick like give it a loose genre structure, like we're going to talk about this genre this week, but we can also talk about other things. You know, it's not strictly limited, but at least to a degree. If I just type in book, see what we get for a tag. Nothing. I will keep that in mind. Okay, we're just going to go with, because I mean, I wasn't sure what to choose for a category either, so I just took just chatting because I was unsure. Listen, it's marked 18 plus for suggestive content and vulgarity. If they can't do that, that's not my issue. Mac had that problem the other night. He was I guess multi-streaming to YouTube and to Twitch, and he put like every like thing he could in there so that to show it was an adult stream. Like they had to click through that they were younger, or like they were 18, and this, that, and the other. No, that's all right, Dusa. Listen, real life always, comes first. whether we wanted to or not. Yeah, so I was like, I just put like every kind of book related thing I could think, like book talk, book lover, book whatever. Do I? Because I've checked off for like content that it was like 18 plus and whatever. Maybe I need to put like 18 plus in the tags. I Googled how to do it and that's what it told me. Whether that was helpful or not, obviously I don't know. Okay, I don't know who's on. So we're going to try same category and we'll just quickly. Yeah, but I figure I use it a lot when going to raid into people. So that's why I still put it in there, because when you choose from the raid channel thing, I like to see whether it says English or not. So like if it says French or Spanish or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. I picked based on like vulgarity and content that it was like 18 plus, but maybe I need to put 18 plus as a tag. I don't know. I Googled and just did what Google said. I tried to put like book lover or whatever as a tag to see if I could find like another maybe reading. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I just Googled and did what it said, but it may not have been enough. Like it might not be enough or the exact right thing to do. Who's on? Oh, Wargaming's on. We'll just raid into him because I don't know what I'm doing, as usual. Yeah, because Wars thing has it pops up. It's like the 18 plus. So maybe I'll ask him what he did. If it was just the content thing, I'll check that one out next time too. Writing and reading. Okay. So I will go to stream ending and I will do the shout out for War in case anybody gets left behind. And then I will do the raid message. But thank you all. Thank you, Chasing, for the follow. Thank you to Rabbit for the raid. And I got, I hate when it does this. I can't. Once you choose somebody to raid into, you can't see like your little creator dashboard thingy anymore. And then Wine Enthusiast and Ensign Jim also followed earlier today, I believe from Carrot Stream. So I just wanted to give them a thank you too. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, I'm going to put the list of people we talked about, books we talked about in the Discord. So if you need to come back and reference it, it will be there. I have it added to for like the third Monday of next month already to the calendar. I'll be streaming tomorrow, finishing up The Art of Chocolate, and then Thursday will be an early stream for me, co-streaming with Carrot.